This is the solution video for section 5.1, problem number 7. All right, so we have our setup here. T equals square root of 4 plus x squared over 3 plus 10 minus x over 4. All right, and remember, we are trying to minimize time. All right, so let's find the derivative here. So t prime. All right, so keep in mind that this is really 1/3 times this stuff. So I'm going to put 1/3 times. Now, the derivative of square root of 4 plus x squared, so that's going to be 1/2 times 4 plus x squared to the negative 1/2. And then times the derivative of 4 plus x squared, which is just 2x. All right, then I have plus. Now remember, this is really just 10/4 minus 1/4 x. So the derivative is just negative 1/4. All right, so now we want to set this thing equal to 0. All right, but let's simplify in the process. So I've got a 1/2 and I've got a 2. Right, and then I've got this x divided by the 3 times the square root of 4 plus x squared. And then I've got the minus 1/4. So I'm going to add the 1/4 to both sides. All right, and then I'm going to cross multiply. So I've got this x here, and then I've got the 3 root 4 plus x squared. So now I need to cross multiply. All right, so I get 3 times the square root of 4 plus x squared equals 4x. All right, and so now I want to square both sides in order to get rid of the root. All right, so when I do that, I get 9, and then the quantity 4 plus x squared equals 16x squared. So now pretty simple. I distribute, I get 36 plus 9x squared equals 16x squared. So now I'm going to solve. So I'm going to subtract 9x squared. So 36 equals 7x squared, 16x squared minus 9x squared. So then I'm going to divide by 7 and square root. So x is equal to plus or minus the square root of 36 sevenths. All right. So now remember what that actually is, though. Okay. That is a potential place where the minimum occurs. All right. Now, um, we do want to consider domain though, all right, when we are doing this problem. All right, so what is the domain? Well, x could be 0, right? But it's pretty clear to see that x wouldn't be negative, which would mean that like you were, rowing over here and then walking, which surely that can't be the answer. And then x could be as great as 10, right? Because then that would mean that you would row directly to the town, all right? So now we know that the negative can't be in that, and so then it would be the positive square root of 36 sevenths. All right, now 36 sevenths, well, 36 sevenths would be a little bit bigger than 5, right? So the square root of something a little bit bigger than 5 would be something, in the 2's, right? So certainly would be between 0 and 10. All right, so now I want to use the critical number test. So I want to evaluate the time of x being 0, the time of x being the square root of 36 sevenths, and then the time of x being 10. Right, and that will tell us where the minimum time would be. All right, so I'm going to evaluate t of 0. So that would be the square root of 4 plus 0 squared over 3 plus 10 minus 0 over 4. All right, then I want the square root of 4 plus the square root of 36 sevenths squared, all divided by 3 plus 10 minus the square root of 36 sevenths over 4. And then lastly, the square root of 4 plus 10 squared over 3 plus 10 minus 10 over 4, right? And so now we just want to do each of those calculations. All right, so now I have my calculator here. All right, and so the first calculation was the square root of 4 plus 0 squared divided by 3 plus 10 minus 0 divided by 4, right? And so if I do that, I get 3.167, and that would be in hours, I believe. All right. And now the next one, a little bit more challenging or a little bit more annoying. All right. So the square root, all right. So square root of 4 plus square root of 36 sevenths, right? But then you're squaring it, right? So you could probably just have left that off. All right. And then divided by 3, and then plus 10 minus the square root of 36 sevenths divided by 4. All right, and so we get that calculation 2.941. And then the last one, calculating with 10. So square root of 4 plus 10 squared divided by, divided by 3, and then plus 10 minus 10, so that would obviously be 0, right? And so you don't even need that. All right, and so we get this 3.399, which is clearly greater, 3.399. So obviously this is the minimum, but that's not our answer, right? What is the answer? Well, answer is that x should be the square root of 36 sevenths, right? And so we should get that value. So if I go back to my calculator, and I evaluate the square root of 36 sevenths, right? That gets me 2.268. So 2.268, right? So what does that mean? Well, remember, okay, that x is the distance from P. So let's see. What's the context here? A woman can row. So you would answer the woman should row to a point two point 268 miles from point P.